All right, here's our top 10 reasons why trail riding is better than motocross. All right, first is easy. It's scenery like this. So trail riding takes you to amazing places, just like this, and this, and this. Oh, and then this place. Oh, and then here. Oh, and of course here, and here, and here. Okay, so you get the point. So trail riding takes you just to some amazing spots. That's what I really enjoy about trail riding, is just the beautiful scenery you get to see throughout on these types of cool looking, amazing trail rides and adventures. Okay, number 2. While trail riding is still very dangerous, motorcycles in general can be very dangerous. Overall, less injuries. Now, there's a caveat to that, because motocross, you tend to ride it way more often and at a different intensity level, and you're trying harder to go faster, those types of things, and maybe trying different jumps, obstacles, and that's why you tend to get hurt. Other people in a race can affect your outcome and so forth. Most trail riding, for the most part, without barring freak injuries of head-ons and different types of things, is up to you, and you can ride within your skill set a whole lot easier, stay within your realm, stay in your lane, so to speak, at how fast you plan on going. So that's one nice thing, I think, overall, and I think that's what attracts a lot of people to trail riding, is they feel a lot safer than being on a track, especially with a lot of faster guys. I think if tracks were private and it was just a couple guys, I think guys might feel more comfortable there, but they go to a track, lots of fast guys zipping around them, they feel better and more comfortable trail riding. So even as I say less injuries, don't think you're not going to get hurt trail riding. I just want that to be clear. You have you're on borrowed time, so to speak. Injuries are part of this sport, so be ready for that, and don't think that just because you're trail riding, you're not going to get injured. You have to be prepared for that, and that's why you're looking at gear, all your riding situations, and being ultra cautious whenever you can, especially around other riders, other vehicles. There's side-by-sides and ATVs to worry about. Those are the kind of things that are out of your control to be looking for. All right, number 3, kind of touching off of number 2, is that trail riding, you can control your area a lot better as far as where you're going to ride and the type of terrain and what you want to challenge yourself with. Where on a track, motocross type deal, you're stuck with your local track within your area to go to. Most people, to be convenient, aren't going to travel outside of a couple hour range to go motocross regularly. So with that said, a lot of motocross tracks aren't built, what I feel, very well. And so their main tracks tend to be very supercross oriented. They're all usually in flat areas with lots of jumps. They're watching a lot of supercross, and they feel like that's the thing to build. They get a few younger kids all promoting it, and that's what most tracks do. And they might have a vet track that's kind of a beginner track, where a guy like myself can find, at most places, find myself in between the main track and the vet track. Even Spencer can find himself in between those two, because they built the main track too big. Vet track's kind of real basic, and then it gets really crowded because that's where everybody is. Most tracks we go to, it's 10-1 on the vet track compared to the main track, so they're missing the boat. And that's why I like more natural tracks like Glen Helen, those types of tracks, more natural tracks that the track is what's challenging you, not so much the obstacles. And I think that's why people leave motocross and get to trail riding. Number 4, kind of tagging off of that, our last couple, is that with trail riding, it's something you can do for a long time. So even if you only ride a few times a year, you can go on a trail ride and ride all day long at your own, say, slower pace, right? You can ride around and have a lot more fun, see cool things, where on the motocross track, you go out a couple motos, 2 or 3 laps at a time, your arms are pumped up, you're really tired, you're kind of feel like you're in danger, so you don't ride that long. So that's one of the really advantages of trail riding, is you can go for longer rides, have more fun than on motocross. Okay, so with trail riding, you have a lot more places typically you can go. Depending upon where you live, you can usually find more trail type areas to go to. And then we'll get into the adventure part of that later, but that's the nice advantage, you have places you can go. Number 6, this might be a tough statement. a broad statement, but trail riding, there tends to be a little bit better people. Now, that's putting people into categories, which we probably shouldn't do now in this day and age, right? But overall, trail rider guys are pretty cool. They all are there to help each other. Other than in a lot of areas they don't want to share trails, but nowadays you really don't need people to help you share trails. We have Onyx, that's all you need. You don't need friends in different areas, but trail guys do tend to help you more in those areas, and so they tend to be better, nicer people. Obviously, they're not cutting in front of you. Go to the motocross track. I have this term I call little pukes, and those are the kids. It's not so much the fast guys. When I get passed by Joe Shimoda or Sexton or Roxon or whoever at Glen Helen, that's not the problem. They're coming by me so fast, I'm paying attention, and when they pass me, they're not cutting over in front of me and roosting me to punish me, like some intermediate kid who's coming up on me. He knows how fast he's coming up on the slow old fat guy. And then he comes over and cuts over and then roosts me to punish me for being on the track at the same time as him. So those are the guys that aren't fun at motocross. And the trail riding scene, most people are willing to help you with anything. They see you stuck or need a part or anything. They're willing to really help you. And I know there's good people in motocross, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying overall, we've had really good luck, and the community around trail riding is pretty good. Number 7, your bike doesn't have to be the latest and greatest. In motocross, guys tend to have a 1 to 2 year old bike max to be competitive in motocross. It has to be the latest version bike, or people look at you like you poor and can't afford to be racing, right? So that's a really important thing with trail riding. You can be out there in a 20-year-old bike. As long as it's well maintained and in good shape, it can accomplish everything that all the current bikes are doing on the trail. So that as long as you're in good shape there, you can be on an old bike, it doesn't matter. Okay, so just as your bike doesn't need to be the newest and latest and greatest, also your gear. You don't have to have the latest and greatest gear. So it does save you money there, because in motocross, you're kind of looked at as a bit of a squirrel or spode if you don't have the latest, current gear on. And out on the trail, as long as you have functional good gear, you're totally fine and protected. Those types of things are more important than looking cool. Number 8, okay, bike maintenance. Okay, so trail riding, you do tend to do longer, put a little more time. So you might wear out, say, chains and sprockets on a equal level as motocross, so to speak, and maybe a rear tire. But for the most part, the rest of your components, your piston, clutches, those types of things, those types of parts will last a lot longer trail riding than motocross. In motocross, you need to be way more up on your maintenance. Your brake fluid, clutch fluid, everything is getting taxed way harder, way more heat. Your shock is wearing out fluid quicker. Same thing with your forks. Everything's wearing out quicker. So with trail riding, a lot less cost on maintenance as well. Number 9. Is this the correct way or this way? Number 9. Okay. So number 9 is suspension. With motocross, you really, it's very important to put the most money into your suspension. And not just money, but time and effort to dialing in your suspension to where you're comfortable with it, especially on your local track, but that you're good with it on the tracks. It makes a huge difference for your size, weight, your skill level, a huge difference. Where on the trail, I feel like we can get about any stock suspension and use clickers and sag and get it pretty dang good. For myself and Spencer, with stock suspension, we can get away with it. We don't have stock suspension on here because we don't have to, and we're using these bikes on the track as well. We have a compromise set of suspension on these, so that helps. That's kind of where we go, but that's a big advantage. You don't have that extra cost of having to have fully modified the best suspension on your bike when you're just trail riding. You can get good stock. Trail bike suspension is usually pretty dang good stock. On the Hondas, their X models, the Yamaha FX models, the KTM XCF models, that stock stuff is so good. So good. Set sag, you could adjust clickers, you're going to have a great time. All right, number 10. Okay, this is probably the best reason that trail riding is better, is that it's an adventure. So Spencer and I have gone to the track way more times than we've trail rode. But on our trail rides, we can usually bring up one thing from a certain trail ride. Canada guy, big tank guy. We can bring up flat tire on that deal. Or what was the trail ride where the guy asked for where does he watch from?
It was Matt in Nuevo.
He just asked, where's the spot I can watch from? He wanted to know on a trail ride. So we remembered that trail ride, obviously. So trail ride, it's about the adventure. And especially if you're able to travel, which is awesome. If you're able to travel, and you, depending upon where you live, if you can make it up to Colorado, Utah, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Washington, if you can get to those mountain places, that's great. If you're on the East Coast, we haven't got to go, but there's really cool trails in a lot of those Appalachia areas and North Carolina, and I've heard of a lot of different riding areas. And the UP in Michigan, I went there like 20 plus years ago, and that was an incredible place. UP in Michigan, one of the best places I've ridden. I feel like trail riding, better than even Hawaii. In Hawaii, I've ridden 2 different times, on Oahu and Kauai a couple times, and really fun, challenging as heck because slippery and all that. So these adventures are what makes trail riding. If you can afford to go on some trail trips with some other guys, and I get guys from back east, far away, East Coast, who every fall or spring will come out to like Moab and ride for 4 or 5 days in Moab, Green River, 5 miles of Heck area. They'll ride Chimney Rock, all those areas in central Utah, and they make a whole adventure out of it. And they'll have a group of like 10 to 12 guys. A couple guys might drive the whole truck and trailer out. Other guys might fly in, all those types of things. So there's guys doing that all across the country. And those adventures are what makes trail riding pretty epic. All right, so that's 10 reasons why trail riding is better than motocross. So I don't want you to think I'm going to stop motocross or I don't like to motocross, because I'm sure someday I'm probably going to make a video about 10 reasons why motocross is better than trail riding. But overall, for a lot of people, they really love trail riding, and I can see why. And I'll add one little thing here: is I really didn't start trail riding until my late 40s, somewhere in the mid to late 40s. Mainly just had motocrossed all through there. I think if I had started earlier, it would have been a bigger thing. Also, the convenience of being able to have good trails to ride helps a lot. Where that's the advantage of having a track close to you, is you can go work on your skills. That's what helped Spencer the most, was riding a motocross track as a kid. Even if we made a hill track, he was able to go ride that track, and that's what got him better, because he couldn't have rode these kind of trails at 8 to 12 years old. He couldn't have been riding these kind of trails. We've gone over that in other videos about the bikes that are available and so forth. But he couldn't have done that, and even if he could, it would have taken us all day to get to this point right here, and I would have been all frustrated. We couldn't gone very far. So that's an interesting part of it as well. So hopefully that it helps you out. If you watched all the way to the end of this video, you should get some kind of bonus, right? Yeah. But anyway, check out our Instagram, if you email us for links, we have our links in our bio with all of our tire stand info on building a tire stand, our Rocky Mountain links, all those types of things. So hopefully that helps you out. We'll see you later on the track or trail.
onX Off-Road, nowhere to go with the #1 GPS app. Access 500,000 miles of trails and roads, open dates and public lands. The elite version even shows landowners and property boundaries. Download the onX Off-Road app. To save 20%, use the discount code DBTV1.